Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my top 15 creepiest Pokemon countdown. I'm Aaron's. So since it is Halloween, I will be reading all of the Pokedex entries with the hood on and the creepy voice. If you like it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know, because I have one more episode and I want to make the final one the best. So that being said, let's delve right into the Pokedex entries. First on our list is Alakazam. So the reason why Alakazam is on the list is because it's a continuation from last week. So if you didn't check that video out, the link will be down in the description, and I highly advise watching that first, so that way you get what I'm talking about. So as it states in Silver, its brain cells multiply continually until it dies. As a result, it remembers everything. So now, Alakazam has to live with the fact that it used to be a human, and it's still stuck as a Pokemon until the day it dies. Adding to the pain of being an Alakazam is this entry from Moon. Its brain cells continue to increase in number until its death. The older the Alakazam, the larger its head. So if you've been able to make it as an Alakazam for a long period of time, your head is huge, crushing you with its own weight. So next up on the list is Cofagrigus. This one is pretty morbid. The black entry reads, "It has been said that they swallow those who get too close and turn them into mummies. They like to eat gold nuggets." And in white, they pretend to be elaborate coffins to teach lessons to grave robbers. Their bodies are covered in pure gold. Black and white too. Grave robbers who mistake them for real coffins and get too close end up trapped inside their bodies. So now, we have a Pokemon who entices you to grave rob, only to trap you inside itself forever. So if you thought that was creepy, and you couldn't think that it could get any worse, the pre-evolved stage is Yamask. Black. Each of them carries a mask that used to be its face when it was human. Sometimes they look at it and cry. Then of course they couldn't leave that Pokemon alone. And Black and White too, they had to add. These Pokemon arose from the spirits of people who interred in graves. Each retains memories of its former life. So now it remembers who they are and remembers what they used to look like. And they must live and roam the world remembering that in grief. So with those 3 Pokemon out of the way, it's kind of hard to top that, right? But they did. So next up on the list is a newer Pokemon, actually one of my favorite newer Pokemons. As you know, I'm obsessed with ghost Pokemon, and this Pokemon is Palossand. And Palossand Shiny, just to throw that out there, is beautiful. I nicknamed mine after the most haunted beach in Hawaii. I thought it would be fitting for the game. So being a new Pokemon, you'd think, okay, there's only 2 entries. No, so there's an entry for each of the games, each of the newer games. So there are 4 entries, and each one of them is terrible. Sun. Possessed people controlled by this Pokemon transformed its sand mound into a castle. As it evolved, its power to curse grew ever stronger. When you thought it couldn't get freakier, there's this entry from Moon. Buried beneath the castle are masses of dried up bones from those whose vitality it has drained. Then in Ultra Moon, once it has whipped up a sandstorm to halt its opponents in their tracks. This terrifying Pokemon snatches away their vitality. And finally, the icing on the cake, Ultra Sun. Each of its grains of sand has its own will. Palisand eats small Pokemon and siphons away their vital essence while they're still alive. So let's take a look at all of the Pokemon that we have so far. And let's see if you can guess the Pokemon that's top on the list, which I would leave a comment right now if you can guess it. Let's see how close you were. So number 1 on the list was Alakazam. And the reason for that is because it will always remember being a human. That's awful. It's terrifying. It's sad. Next on the list is Cofagrigus. And Cofagrigus is freaky because it entraps those who get too close and want to rob it, thinking that it's a real sarcophagus. And it keeps them entrapped until they die. And then you have the pre-evolution of that Pokemon, which is Yamask, who holds the mask of its former self, its human self, until it evolves. So if I ever get that Pokemon, I'm going to want it to evolve right away, because that's just sadistic. You're making that Pokemon remember its past life, and it's carrying its own face. And then finally, next on the list is an eating, devouring sandcastle. And yeah, I know the Pokedex entries kind of hint that it only goes after Pokemon, but who's to say that it might not be hungry for something more? So, what can top all 4 of these Pokedex entries? Something that you probably weren't expecting. Something that seemed innocent. Something that is an incredible fighting Pokemon, believe it or not. If you use this Pokemon correctly in competitions, it can be an ace in the hole. But it's also, quite frankly, one of the scariest Pokedex entries that I've run into. Only because I've used this Pokemon before. And what it's hinting at is something very, very sinister. And that Pokemon is So before I get to my final pick, make sure to hit subscribe for more videos from me. Thumbs up this video if you liked it. Let me know in the comments if I should continue this freaky kind of theme. And then also ring that bell if you want to be notified when I upload videos in the future. Thank you so much for your support. Let's continue with this video. And that Pokemon is Shedinja. Sapphire. Shedinja is a peculiar Pokemon. It seems to appear unsought in a Pokeball after a Nincada evolves. This bizarre Pokemon is entirely immobile. It doesn't even breathe. Emerald. A peculiar Pokemon that floats in air even though its wings remain completely still. The inside of its body is hollow and utterly dark. Why is all of this creepy? Because of this entry from Ruby. Shedinja's hard body doesn't move, not even a twitch. In fact, its body appears to be merely a hollow shell. It is believed that this Pokemon will steal the spirit of anyone peering into its hollow body from its back. Why is this scary? Because when you're using this Pokemon in the games, you're always looking at its back. So we all know how Shedinja works, right? You evolve your Nincada to a Ninjask at level 20, and you have an open slot in your party and a Pokeball in your bag, you get this Pokemon. Except for Gen 3, you didn't have to have a Pokeball in your bag. However, what I believe is that a spirit inhabits the remaining shell. And the reason for this, and I'm warning you, the next 2 photos that I'm going to show you are a little graphic, especially if you have a fear of bugs. So if I were you, I'd skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't want to see them. But here's the first one. This is a cicada, and this bug in real life actually sheds its skin to become a better form of itself, much like snakes shed their skin. This is the empty shell. So this is what the Pokemon is based off from. So when Nincada becomes Ninjask, a Shedinja is created because a spirit takes over the empty shell. Hence why it doesn't have to move. Hence why it kills anybody looking into its backside. So those are my picks. And if you thought it's just getting creepier, just wait until my final video next week, where I unveil the final top creepiest Pokemon 2 of them are probably going to surprise the crap out of you, just like they surprised me. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. So before I go, today, the Halloween event in Pokemon Go was just announced. It dropped on us as a surprise. Get out there and catch the new Gen 4 Pokemon, including Stunky and Drifloon, as well as take care of the new mythical quest line, A Spooky Message. Make sure to get out there and catch those Pokemon, especially because you can get a shiny Drifloon, people. I am not kidding.